Hey everyone, this is a look at the Pocono Plaza Inn. If you're new to my channel, what I like to do is, in my spare time, for whatever reason, I like to look up some of the most terribly reviewed hotels on TripAdvisor and look through um, some of the reviews to see like what are the experiences people are having because some of them are pretty disgusting and for whatever reason I really find it enjoyable to look through them. This one is the first one that I've chosen to do because it's one that has really stuck with me for quite a long time. This is the Pocono Plaza Inn. It is found in, I believe, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. It at one point, I believe, went by the Quality Inn in Stroudsburg. It no longer has that anymore. Just to give you a sense of what kind of place it is, I found an article where the owners of the hotel, this is in October of 2020, the owners of the hotel were convicted at jury trial in federal court charges of sex and drug trafficking. Um, Faisal Bamani and Nazim Hassan of Bartonsville were owners of the hotel. Um, yeah, like it says here, it's located in Stroudsburg and is formerly known as the Quality Inn. I don't think it's been known as the Quality Inn for quite some time, though. Uh, this is the first time a hotel owner, or a hotel general manager has been convicted of criminal sex trafficking offenses for aiding others to engage in that activity in Pennsylvania, which is pretty incredible. So they were at least an accessory to the sex trafficking that was happening in this hotel. They were. It sounded like they were aware of it and they allowed it to happen on their premises. The jury found the Pocono Plaza Inn guilty of managing a drug related premises, and Hassan, part owner and vice president of Amsri Sai, and managing shareholder of both hotels, guilty of drug trafficking conspiracy and 2 counts of managing drug related premises. So pretty disgusting that this was going on there, and they were totally fine with that. Uh, the case began in 2014 with an FBI investigation into the Black Peace Stone Gang, which is a set of the Bloods, and they were responsible for violence and drug trafficking in Monroe County at the time, which is the county it's located in, and that's kind of what started the investigation. Pretty incredible, if you ask me, to allow this to happen on your premises. But yeah, they were found complicit of at least helping these trades happen on their premises, and they were found guilty of it. So that's the kind of place that we are dealing with here, and as you can see, it's seen better days. The Pocono Plaza Inn up here, this little black mark, I believe that's the old Quality Inn logo, but they took that down, obviously. Um, Looking at some of the photos of it, so here's what it used to look like at one point when it was the Quality Inn. Definitely looks a little bit nicer, if you ask me, when it was the Quality Inn. Um, so comparing the two photos, this is at least green and lush, um, and it just everything looks dead at this point. It's really gross. It definitely like has some potential if you look at it. There are some pools in the courtyards that are found there. Um, I personally find that really appealing. I love the layout of the hotel. Uh, Again, I think it's seen better days, and with less and less people traveling on the road, um, especially, and I'm talking about before the pandemic, even air travel being more. Being something people used more often. Hotels like this kind of were on the wayside. Here's a photo. I think this is a great photo. I don't know what year this was, but I like to imagine that this is a time where this is before the drug trade, before the sex trade entering here. Families would go there and enjoy themselves. They'd have a nice family vacation, sometimes maybe a staycation where, it's even local families want to get away and use the pool. Um, I love that. I love this photo. Here's another photo of the pool. It's a great looking pool and courtyard area. There's a little shack here. I believe it sold snacks at one point. Another image of the courtyard. Here's a picture of the lobby. This looks like a fairly recent photo. Oh, here's a photo, like an aerial photo. It's pretty cool. You can see over here is where the pool must have been. Or I guess still is. Another one of families enjoying the Pocono Plaza Inn. This is when it was the Pocono Plaza Inn still. As you can see, there's definitely like a restaurant that is in there as well. Some photos have it and some photos don't, so I don't know if if it's still there or not. It's possible it's gone now. Oh, here's a better photo. Rocca Nova's. Looks like a nice Italian pizza and eatery. Another picture of the pool. I love that glass up top. I really do. That I can almost like hear the rain hitting the glass. It's a nice warm late summer evening. You're able to stay here at this hotel. Maybe it's one that you've been coming to for, a few years as a child. It's a yearly trek that your family makes. And you're able to play in the pool despite it being nighttime, despite it being raining. Maybe there's a thunderstorm even. But you're safe. You're under here. You're under the glass partition. I think that's wonderful. I love that. Here's a picture. It looks like as it was transitioning from the Quality Inn to the Pocono Inn, maybe Pocono Plaza Inn. Yeah, we'll take a look at some more of the photos, especially some of the traveler photos that tell a different story. And sometimes it's known as the Stroudsburg Inn. Sometimes. I haven't got a definite answer as to whether that's the new name or not. As far as I know, like on TripAdvisor, it's still called the Stroudsburg. I'm sorry, it's still called the Pocono Plaza Inn rather than the Stroudsburg Inn. But I have seen a few photos labeled with Stroudsburg Inn. On Kayak, apparently, it's $105 for a night. That's pretty pricey. I'm not sure what the cost of living is like in Pennsylvania, but $105 for a hotel room, especially right now during the pandemic, that seems like a lot. That seems like a lot of money. So one of the things I like to do first is look at what are some of the positive reviews that the hotel has gotten. I bet you not everyone has had a terrible experience there. Karen Miller posted on TripAdvisor in 2019. She gave it an excellent review. She called it the best stay of my life. This is what she had to say about it. This was the best hotel I've ever stayed at. I loved the staff. I loved that the staff was so hands-on and paid attention to all my needs. While there was no TV, that's unfortunate, the staff made sure to entertain me. The hotel felt like home immediately, and I never wanted to leave. Vilma specifically deserves a raise for her kind presence. I will definitely be returning next year. Well, that's nice. There was no TV in her room apparently, but she felt entertained by the people who were working there. I find that pretty special. I think that's awesome. Fantastic. And Vilma specifically, nice job, Vilma, for all of her work. Jody S. also posted an excellent review. This was in July of 2016. She titled it A Very Pleasant Stay Over Holiday Weekend. Beautiful lobby, computer access, indoor pool area with atrium, large bar with pool table, live music, a couple of games, washer dryer, small but adequate exercise room, and in-room desk and microwave. Close to stores, restaurants, fireworks. Room and other areas were clean. Air conditioner worked well. Free breakfast included the scrambled eggs, sausage, waffles, coffee, tea, juice, cereal muffins, yogurt, bagels. Staff very nice. So clearly they had a great spread of breakfast items, at least back in 2016. I don't know what it was like. That's 4 years ago, but clearly they had their stuff in order at that point, being able to provide so many different items for breakfast then. So Jody was also very pleased with their stay back in 2016. Unfortunately, there are plenty of negative reviews that this hotel has. So we're going to take a look at them. Trish D wrote a review on November 20th. She gave it 1 out of 5. Had reservation in July 2020, but did not stay because they gave our room away. They charged my credit card, but when I called them the next day, they pulled back the charges. When I checked my statement this month, they charged my credit card on 10/14/2020 and now refuse to return a phone call. Shady people. Well, that's not right. Vilma, if you're still there, hopefully you can take care of Trish. That's terrible. She didn't even stay there. It wasn't even her fault they gave her room away. So that's something that needs to obviously be changed. Also, if we take a look up here, it's now $73 a night to stay there. So they have taken some of the money off of the charge of how much, considering we saw earlier it was $105. Let's see what David El Drago had to say about it. David wrote this review in September of 2020. He has 20 helpful votes. That's awesome. That means he's obviously a pro at this. He gave it a 1 out of 5. There are so many stains in the room. Mold on the carpets and walls. Outside, I saw some poop along the wall. The pool has roaches in it, and it's so unsanitary. I would not recommend ever staying here. He gave a 1 for cleanliness, 1 for sleep quality, and a 1 for service. Wow. That's awful. I mean, having to see poop along the wall, mold on the carpets and walls, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about with the pool being so accessible, with it being the main focus, I'm guessing, of a lot of the families who stay there. I bet you the mold and mildew is just rampant. There's got to be so much of it over time, and if you don't put in the money to take care of it, because you can combat it, but if you're not putting the money in to do so, and you obviously are ran by some shady people who are at least complicit in the drug and sex trade, then their priorities are going to be elsewhere. Let's take a look here at what Samir wrote. Samir wrote a review in September of 2020, and Samir actually gave us a couple of pictures to go along with it. I'm excited to look at those. Samir gave it a 1 out of 5. The worst hotel ever. Dirty place, dirty rooms in filthy condition, torn up and non-clean carpets in the rooms, and when you cancel the reservation because of the non-sanitized place, they refuse to give a refund. Reception showed no care about our complaints. So again, an issue with credit cards, it looks like, and not giving a refund to it. Let's see what some of these photos are that Samir posted. So that's pretty gross. You have water damage up here, and what's scary is there's obviously some sort of leak happening, and yet look at all these wires, right? And you have tiles missing up and down. It's good. They at least have a security camera though, so I guess that's good. But man, that is dangerous. That looks really dangerous if you ask me. I'm not an electrician, but that doesn't seem right. Take a look at another photo that Samir posted. Again with the water damage. I'm assuming that's for like ventilation. And look at all the black stuff on there. I don't know if that's mold or dust. I guess it could just be stained. Maybe they clean it, but it's stained. I'm not sure, but it definitely doesn't look good. looks like we get a close-up of all those wires next to what looks to be water damage. Jeez. That's awful. Thanks for sharing that, Samir, by the way. Appreciate that. So I really like this review because this is kind of the same feeling I get when I look at the photos then and now. So Mark H wrote a review. This happened in July of 2020. He gave it a 1 out of 5 and said, "You get the feeling that years ago this might have been a nice place." And I totally agree. I bet you at one point this place was the place to go, the place to stay in the Poconos, especially if you have a family. Here's what Mark wrote. "Today's reality is quite different. I should have checked the plethora of negative TA reviews. The management is definitely using the overpriced and under-maintained rooms to suck the most last dollars out of this place before it, hopefully, be demolished. The only redeeming feature of the preview pictures were of the pool. I love kids, but the small pool was filled with kids having a great time, no doubt, peeing to their heart's content. If you're tired of staying in nice places and long to post a terrible review, this is the place to stay. Better yet, keep driving down the road and find a better hotel." Well, Mark, first of all, really well written, Mark. I think that's awesome that you were able to give everyone, I think, reading this a sense of what you were going through. So, he obviously likes kids. I have no doubt about that. I'm imagining it probably gets pretty loud. If you notice the layout of it, there's so many rooms that are surrounding the pool. So if you have kids running around late at night making noise, that would definitely be difficult to try and get some sleep. Probably a smell of chlorine, both coming from outside and inside. And it's got to be nauseating at some point. So that's what Mark had to say. Notice how Mark, he gave it a 1 out of 5 for value, but he gave it a 4 out of 5 for service. I wish maybe he would have written a little bit more about what his service was like there. I'd love to have heard a positive story about what the service was like there, because it sounds like it was pretty good. But I guess maybe if it's on like a curve compared to the value, maybe that's what he's talking about. Rosa wrote a review also in July of 2020. She gave it a 1 out of 5, and she titled her review, "Do not go here. Terrible, dirty, and garbage in the room when we first arrived. They should close this place down. I walk right out the door and claim to receive my money back. Do not go to this dump. The worst I ever seen. Pool was disgusting. Scary. I could not believe it, and for the price. Come on. Garbage." So Rosa, again, not really pulling any punches back. These are all the terrible reviews, by the way. I listed some of the excellent reviews because I'm sure that some people have had nice stays here. But I think it's important that we listen to what what the majority of the people are saying, because 154 of the reviews are all terrible. Tony wrote a review also in June of 2020. So obviously June of 2020 was a big year and a big month for the Pocono Plaza Inn. Tony gave it a 1 out of 5 and called it disgusting. Photos are misleading. So I wonder where he saw the photos. I'm assuming that Pocono Plaza has their own website. Maybe they have their own photos that shine a better light on the space. Here's what Tony said. "Upon arrival, I got a bad feeling in my gut. There were only 3 cars on the property, 1 at the entrance shoulder, 2 more in the back, nothing in the front parking spaces," which is weird because it sounds like there was a lot of people staying there at the time. "The first room assigned, room 101, was unmade, and there was a loud barking dog 3 feet across the hall. Clerk said it was a service dog. We asked for a clean room as far away from the barking service dog as possible. The next assigned room, 125, had a foul smell and just felt bad altogether. We booked a non-smoking king room, and this room had a combined stench of cockroaches and cigarette smoke. The flat, overused pillow and paper-thin pillowcases had human sweat stains on them. The air conditioning filter hadn't been cleaned in months, years perhaps. As we debated whether to stay or not, we witnessed an actual drug deal transaction right outside our window. We chose to GTFO, drive back home, and disinfect ourselves. They refused to refund our money and said we should take it up with the credit card company. This place is not your typical hotel, in my opinion. It caters to permanent residents, and I suspect prostitution and drug dealers. Stay away. Don't be fooled by the photos. Yeah, and it sounds like Tony was right, considering what happened with the owners of this hotel. They were arrested and charged and found guilty of aiding and abetting the sex and drug trade. So he's absolutely right. His suspicions were correct, and that's a great point. When you go to hotel and you have that feeling in your gut that something's not right, I definitely recommend going somewhere else. Kevin F. wrote a review in June of 2020. He was able to give us a couple of photos. We'll look at those after we read his review. He gave it a 1 out of 5 and said that this place is horrible. There are a whole lot of things wrong with this place. $170 a night for a suite. Jeez. All it is a standard room with twin bed and a jacuzzi tub. Was told by front desk amenities were open. Was told by the front desk amenities were open. Got the and nothing. I'm not sure what he means there, Kevin. I'm contacting the Better Business Bureau and the fire department code. The room was a downgrade, and I am going to dispute all charges. These rooms are way out of fire code, and it needs to be shut down. So he's complaining about the fire code, saying that it's a fire hazard. That's very possible. I guess Kevin would know. Looks like we have some mold or mildew here on the side of the tub. And that's not terribly uncommon. Obviously, if you're paying $170 a night, you should be expecting something a lot cleaner than that. You should be expecting top-of-the-line cleanliness, in my opinion. Here's another photo from Kevin. This is the smoke detector. I wonder if it's even working. I'm not even sure. There's nothing here to tell me that, yeah, it's definitely still in service. Here's another photo from Kevin. Here's some more of that water damage. Jeez, that's just gross. And I bet you that's got to smell too. That's absolutely got to smell at some point, especially in the summer. Ugh. That's disgusting. Thanks for sharing that, Kevin. We're going to move on to Alex. Alex wrote a review in June of 2020. Alex is from Canada, so he came internationally to this place. And obviously he didn't find it very appealing. Probably wasn't worth it to him to leave his country. This was a 1 out of 5 star review, and he called it scary. They asked me and my wife how long we wanted the room for, and I was confused and asked, "What do you mean?" The lady replied, "Well, some guests only rent the room for an hour or two for discount prices. That is scary and gross. Would not recommend." And that probably goes back to the sex trafficking or the drug trafficking. People using a hotel room, they only need it for a few hours for whatever activity they have planned, and that goes back to the charges and the court's decision to find the owners guilty. He stayed there in February of 2020. That would be scary too, because he's probably trying to get home with the pandemic, and he's probably has to stay there with his wife, and he unfortunately found a not so great place to stay. That's awful. Hopefully you come back to the U.S. soon, Alex. Shonda M. wrote a review in March of 2020. Her stay was in February of 2020. She gave it a 1 out of 5 and said, "Don't stay here." This hotel is terrible. It was dirty. The beds are smaller than advertised. One bed was lopsided. The water did not stay hot. There were people who looked like they lived there. The pool was a makeout session for a few folks, and I had to take my kid out early. The restaurant was closed down and supposedly under construction. That was not said on the site. This place was a mess. Don't spend your money. So, Shonda, isn't obviously liking the clientele that's using the pool, doing some inappropriate activities there. The restaurant was closed down, and the worst part is they didn't even make note of that on the website. So it's something that maybe she was planning on having access to, and clearly it wasn't something she could use. Massimo Romaniello wrote a review in February 2020. He stayed there, and I'm assuming Massimo is a he. I apologize if not. He stayed there in August of 2019. Gave it a 1 out of 5. Said, "Good God, what a fiasco. I stayed here and it was worse than sleeping in my effing car. The beds were absolutely disgusting. The bathroom looked almost like a crime scene and the room stunk. Jesus Christ almighty, I was planning to stay here to see the Pocono Mountains as it was decently cheap. I wasn't expecting much, but this hotel shouldn't even be a 1-star hotel. The Hampton I stayed in after I canceled was 60 times better. Never coming here again." So Massimo, it sounds like, checked out and went to the Hampton down the road, which was much nicer. And I hope, Massimo, I hope you had a great trip after that. That's terrible, though, that you had to experience this. I agree. From the pictures I've seen, it doesn't even deserve to be a 1-star hotel. It looks like it's seen a lot better days. Yeah, that's not good. Oh, this one looks promising. Mary Ellen Fogarty wrote a review in January of 22. She stayed there in April of 2019. She gave it a 1 out of 5 and said, "Strangers in our bed." Seeking a cheap place to stay for 2 nights, my husband and I looked past the moldy carpets, the awful food, and the unsettling atmosphere. All we needed was a place to sleep. It was just that until we arrived back to the room to find one of the housekeepers passed out cold in our bed. She had kicked her shoes off, gotten extremely intoxicated, and made herself very comfortable under my covers. My husband and I quietly packed our bags and got the hell out of there. Very, very odd situation. Do not recommend. Yeah, that is one heck of a story there, Mary Ellen. I guess the housekeeper had a few too many. Your bed looked awfully comfortable to them and just, made it their own. That's pretty crazy. I wonder if Mary Ellen woke the housekeeper up, or if they just exited without saying anything. Very interesting. Wendy wrote a review in October of 2019, and Wendy stayed there that same month. She gave it a 1 out of 5. "Don't stay here. The place is run down, smells like moldy carpet, and there are long-term guests who live there. We didn't even stay the night because there were police walking around looking for someone and some very sketchy characters. We left after only 1 hour. Never again. Not safe at all." So the police, I guess, were looking around for someone that they suspected of a crime, I'm assuming. Or maybe they had a warrant for them, but they had reason to believe they were either at the hotel or near the hotel. Yeah, that would definitely be a reason to leave, I would think. That's... Whew. I don't blame you there, Wendy. So we're coming on 30 minutes here. I'm going to end it here. I'll absolutely continue reading these reviews. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a comment if you stayed there. I'd love to hear your experience, whether bad or good, or if you know of the place, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. Thanks, everybody.